Hello, marhaba, shlonkum ahwalkum. What's up everybody, and welcome back with another video here with Rami the Iraqi. So today in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and teach you how to negate everything in Arabic, but I'll also teach you how to do it in the Iraqi dialect. The differences between the modern standard Arabic and the Iraqi dialect, which is much easier than the modern standard Arabic. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first method to negate something is to use the word laysa. Laysa. Now this is the modern standard Arabic. You can negate nouns, adjectives, and the verb to be, which doesn't really exist in Arabic. I'll give you some examples. Let's start with the verb to be. Huwa Rami, like he is Rami. If I want to negate it, huwa laysa Rami, he is not Rami. Now laysa, just like all the other verbs, it has to be conjugated for all the pronouns. I'm not gonna conjugate it for you guys because it's gonna get complicated. Maybe I'll do it later on. But this is how you negate the verb to be, by using the word laysa. So now let's take an example for adjective. Huwa jamil, he is handsome. Huwa laysa jamil. Huwa laysa jamil. So in the Iraqi dialect, instead of using laysa, we will use the word mu, like mu, okay? We'll use the word mu. So let's take the same examples. Huwa Rami, huwa mu Rami, he's not Rami. Huwa Jamil, huwa mu Jamil. Now let's move into the next method of negating something, which is using the word غير with a gha, غير, غير. And this one is used for adjectives only. And this one does not change with the pronouns. So it's a little bit easier to use with adjectives. So let's use the same example. Huwa Jamil, huwa غير Jamil. See, so that's another way to negate an adjective. So we have laysa, but you have to conjugate it with different pronouns, and then غير, you don't have to conjugate it with different pronouns, but غير is only for adjectives. Laysa, you can use it for nouns and the verb to be. In the Iraqi dialect, for غير is the same, mu. So you see, we only have one word versus the modern standard Arabic, multiple words to negate something. So now let's move on to verbs. There are three different ways to negate verbs: past, present, and future. Three different words in the modern standard Arabic. In the Iraqi dialect, it is only one. So you see, in the modern standard Arabic, there's 5 ways to negate. The first 2 that I just mentioned, and now the 3 that I'm gonna mention, but in the Iraqi dialect, only 2. Very easy, very simple. The first word is ma, and that is for the past tense. I'll give you an easy example. He didn't go. Huwa ma ذهب. Huwa ma ذهب. Now, in the Iraqi dialect, we don't really use the verb يذهب, like to go. We just use rah. So we would say huwa ma rah. Huwa ma rah. Now we'll move on to the present tense. You use the word la. La, which is no or not. So we'll use the same verb to go. He goes, he didn't go. Huwa la يذهب. Huwa la يذهب. In the Iraqi dialect, we also use ma, okay? Same, one word for all the present, past, and future. Huwa ma يروح. Huwa ma يروح. So we use the verb يروح or rah instead of يذهب or ذهب. And the last one we have for future tense. Future tense, the word is لن. لن. In the modern standard Arabic, if you want to say he will go, you would say huwa سوف يذهب. So سوف, what makes it future, and you just use يذهب, which is from the present tense. Now, as another way to do it, huwa سيذهب. So either سوف or س. Now, in the modern standard Arabic, if you want to negate it, huwa سوف يذهب, he will go. So if you want to say he will not go, you would use لن instead of سوف. So the word that you use to make the verb future, you take it out and you put the word لن. هو لن يذهب. هو لن يذهب. In the Iraqi dialect, it's easy. Again, we just use ma. Now, In the Iraqi dialect, we don't use sofa or sa. For example, if you want to say he will go in the Iraqi dialect, you will say huwa rah yuruh. So rah is mostly used to make a verb future. Huwa rah yuruh. Huwa rah yisbah, to swim. Okay? Huwa rah yakul, to eat. So if you want to negate it, we use the word ma. But we keep the future word that we use to make the verb future. So we would just say huwa ma rah yuruh. Huwa ma rah yuruh. If you want to say it quickly, huwa ma rah yuruh. Okay, so he will not go. So to summarize, 5 ways versus 2 ways in the Iraqi dialect to negate something. We have laysa for nouns, adjectives, and the verb to be, ghayra for the adjectives only in the modern standard Arabic. In the Iraqi dialect, we just use mu, okay? So mu for laysa and ghayra, mu, okay? Now for the verbs in the modern standard Arabic, 3 ways. The first one is ma for the past tense, the Iraqi dialect ma. The second one is la for the present tense, the Iraqi dialect is ma. And the third one is len in the modern standard Arabic, but you have to remove the word that makes the verb future. You have to remove it, you replace it with len. And in the Iraqi dialect, you don't remove the word that makes it future, you just add ma and then you continue. So you see, it's much simpler in the Iraqi dialect than in the modern standard Arabic. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I hope I summarized it in a nice way to compare between the modern standard Arabic and the Iraqi dialect. And as usual, thank you for the support, and I will see you in the next episode.